everyone, and welcome back to Financial Podcast. I'm your host, Olivia. Today, we're diving into an event that highlights the critical intersection of infrastructure, regulation, and the financial stability of utility companies and the communities they serve. The recent widespread power outages that impacted the New Orleans metropolitan area on Sunday, May 25th, 2025. This wasn't a typical outage caused by a storm or equipment failure in the traditional sense. It was an intentional measure, a load shed, ordered by the regional grid operator. Understanding the mechanics and implications of this event provides valuable insight into the complex financial and operational landscape of the power industry. According to reports and statements from Entergy, the utility companies Entergy Louisiana and Entergy New Orleans were directed by their reliability coordinator, the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator, or MISO, to initiate periodic power outages for their customers. This action, referred to as a load shed or controlled power cut, was explicitly stated by Entergy to be a last resort. The directive from MISO was given to prevent a more extensive and prolonged power outage that could have severely affected the reliability of the power grid. Entergy confirmed that it continued to follow a directive from MISO to reduce load. So, what exactly is MISO, and why does it have the authority to mandate power cuts? MISO is described in the sources as a regional electricity grid operator that manages the bulk power transmission system and wholesale electricity markets across parts of 15 states stretching from the Canadian border down to the Gulf Coast. It also functions as a reliability coordinator, responsible for monitoring the portion of the electric grid it oversees. It provides instructions to its member utilities, like Entergy, regarding actions needed to maintain reliability within that grid section. The sources make it clear that in extreme circumstances, these actions can include the type of forced outages that occurred on Sunday. MISO essentially acts as a pool of electricity generators and users, coordinating supply and demand to keep the lights on across a vast region. A load shed, as the sources define it, is a protective measure. It's used during emergency conditions or periods of high demand when the power grid is close to capacity. By temporarily and periodically cutting power to certain areas or groups of customers, utility companies can prevent the kinds of serious issues that could lead to a complete grid failure, which would result in far more extensive and longer-lasting outages. It is important to note that a load shed event, as directed by MISO, is intentional. The specific reasons cited in the sources for why this load shed was necessary point to a confluence of factors. Louisiana Public Service Commissioner Devonte Lewis provided some detail, stating that one generator that typically powers the area was already offline for routine maintenance on Sunday. Then a second generator reportedly failed or tripped. Compounding this supply issue, the demand for power at that time was greater than had been forecast. Commissioner Lewis noted that he was unsure if the second generator belonged to Entergy or CLECO. This combination of reduced supply due to generator issues and higher than expected demand created a situation where MISO, as the reliability coordinator, deemed it necessary to reduce the load on the system to prevent a cascading failure. The impact of this forced outage was significant and widespread across the New Orleans metropolitan area. Initial reports indicated over 100,000 customers were without power across southeast Louisiana following the large-scale outage that began around 4:30 p.m. or 4:50 p.m. on Sunday. At its peak, Entergy's website showed nearly 100,000 people without power, and at one point the outage map indicated 102,771 customers were affected. The outages impacted customers in multiple parishes. Specifically, Orleans Parish, where Entergy New Orleans operates, saw approximately 52,000 customers impacted. In Jefferson Parish, there were over 36,000 customers without power. St. Bernard Parish had over 6,000 customers affected, and Plaquemines Parish also had over 6,500 customers lose power. While the bulk of the outages were reported on the East Bank of New Orleans and parts of Jefferson Parish, areas specifically mentioned as being affected in Orleans Parish included Lakeview, portions of the Industrial Canal, Gentilly, Mid-City, and Uptown. Cleco customers in the North Shore region were also impacted, though Cleco's map later showed outages resolved for their customers. The sources mention that depending on conditions, individual customers could experience multiple outages. Fortunately, power was mostly restored by Sunday evening, with the order for required power outages ending that night and power being fully restored across the metro area by 8 p.m. or 11 p.m., according to different reports. The timing of the outage, occurring on a Sunday during Memorial Day weekend, exacerbated the disruption for many. With temperatures rising, people in New Orleans living in older, often less insulated houses rely heavily on air conditioning to cope with the heat. Being without power for several hours meant losing that essential cooling, leading to significant discomfort. The outages also directly impacted businesses and public events. For example, the 50th celebration of Greek Fest was interrupted, affecting attendees and vendors who are unable to cook food or provide air conditioning. Some businesses, like Toop's Meadery, stepped up to offer their space as cooling centers for those affected. These disruptions, while temporary, highlight the immediate economic cost of such outages, from lost business revenue at events like Greek Fest to the less quantifiable cost of inconvenience and discomfort for tens of thousands of residents. A significant point of contention raised by local officials was the perceived lack of timely notification regarding the forced outage. City Council President and Utility Committee Chair J.P. Morrell, Council Vice President and Climate and Sustainability Chair Helena Moreno, and Public Service Commissioner Devonte Lewis all issued statements expressing frustration. They stated that MISO ordered the immediate, forced, large-scale outage within the energy territory with minimal notice to both the utility and regulators. Some reports even suggested the warning came just 3 minutes before power was cut, raising serious questions about communication protocols and MISO's forecasting capabilities. Officials noted their belief that New Orleans bore the brunt of this forced outage and demanded clear answers regarding the reasons behind the incident and the failure to provide timely alerts. This lack of notice is not just an operational issue, it has financial implications, potentially hindering Energy's ability to provide early warnings to customers, which in turn could mitigate some of the economic impact on businesses and individuals. It also points to potential regulatory scrutiny for both MISO and Energy regarding their communication and coordination procedures. From a financial perspective, this incident raises several important points. Energy Louisiana serves over 1.1 million customers in 58 parishes, while Energy New Orleans serves more than 209,000 electricity customers in Orleans Parish. Both are subsidiaries of Energy Corporation, a Fortune 500 company serving 3 million customers across multiple states. Energy Corporation states it is investing for growth and improved reliability and resilience of its energy system, while working to keep energy rates affordable. This outage, caused in part by a generator failure, prompts questions about the adequacy and pace of those reliability investments. While one generator was offline for planned maintenance, the unexpected failure of a second unit at a time of high demand highlights the system's vulnerability and the potential need for accelerated investment in generation capacity, transmission infrastructure, or grid modernization to prevent future occurrences. Such investments come at a significant cost, which ultimately must be borne by either the utility's shareholders or its ratepayers, a decision often subject to regulatory approval. The economic cost of power outages, even relatively short ones like this, is substantial. For businesses, it can mean lost sales, wasted perishable goods, and decreased productivity. For residents, it's the inability to use essential appliances, potential damage to electronics, and the significant discomfort caused by lack of climate control, especially in hot and humid conditions. While Energy states they are investing for growth and improved reliability, events like this underscore the challenges utilities face in balancing the need for robust infrastructure against the goal of keeping energy rates affordable. The regulatory bodies, such as the Louisiana Public Service Commission and the New Orleans City Council, play a crucial role in overseeing utility operations, approving rate increases, and ensuring that investments are made to improve reliability while also protecting consumers. The calls for clear answers from these officials indicate that this event is likely to trigger investigations or reviews, which could lead to new requirements or financial penalties for the involved parties. The infrastructure of MISO, itself as a regional transmission organization managing a pool of generators and users, is designed to optimize the flow of electricity and maintain reliability across a large footprint. However, this event demonstrates that even within such a system, localized issues combined with regional demand fluctuations can necessitate drastic measures like load shedding. The financial implications extend beyond the utility to the generators that participate in the MISO market. The failure of a generator has operational and potentially financial consequences for its owner. The interaction between scheduled maintenance, unexpected failures, and demand forecasting within the MISO framework is a complex operational and financial challenge. Energy's communication strategy during and after the event has a financial component related to customer relations and regulatory compliance. The company stated they continuously keep communities informed through various channels, including their app, website, social media, and local news. They also provided information on balancing supply and demand on their website. Encouraging customers to use digital tools for updates is a standard practice aimed at managing communications efficiently during widespread events. However, the criticism from local officials regarding minimal notice suggests a breakdown in timely information flow between MISO, energy, and potentially local authorities, highlighting an area for procedural review that could have financial implications if improvements require investment in communication systems or staffing. In summary, the power outages experienced in the New Orleans area on May 25, 2025, were a direct consequence of a load shed order from MISO, triggered by a power shortfall caused by generator issues and higher than forecast demand. This event underscores the fragility of the power grid under stress and raises significant questions about the adequacy of current infrastructure, the effectiveness of regional grid management, and the financial investments needed to ensure reliability. The economic impact on residents and businesses was tangible, despite the relatively short duration of the outages. The strong reactions from local officials regarding the lack of timely notification signal potential future regulatory actions that could influence the financial and operational strategies of energy and MISO. As we head into warmer months and hurricane season, ensuring grid resilience and clear communication will be paramount, presenting ongoing financial and operational challenges for utility companies and their regulators. Thank you for joining me on Financial Podcast as we examined this important event. I'm Olivia, and I look forward to discussing more key financial topics with you next